telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? That's from the movie Back to the Future. For you young kids, there's a trilogy of them called Back to the Future, and this guy goes, traveling through time in a DeLorean. So, a little story here. I was at a flea market, and I just happened to pick these up. I usually don't buy Hot Wheels because I despise the exposed axles, but I actually looked at pictures of a 1981 and a half DeLorean, and it has a black center cap. So in this case, the axle doesn't seem so bad. If they were black, they'd be even better. So anyways, we'll do a little review of these cars. They're quite old. They're from 2001. No packaging because they're used, loose cars. So the DeLorean itself was sold between 1981 and 1983. It was designed by Giugiaro, who's a really popular Italian designer. And the most notable features of a normal DeLorean are the gull-wing doors and the fact that the body is made of stainless steel. It has a 2.9-liter V6 in the rear, and it makes only 130 horsepower or so, and around 9,000 of these cars were made, but they weren't really successful because only 130 horsepower in an expensive luxury car, it just didn't sell well. Back then, the first model sold for around $25,000, which in today's money is around $80,000. So it's a relatively expensive car, but it was pretty slow, so it was like a Grand Tourer. It wasn't really a sports car. And there's a bunch of movies about John DeLorean, the founder of the company. I guess he got involved with some illicit drug activity, distribution of drugs. And so there's a lot of movies. One's called Driven, and that's a pretty good movie. Not sure how much of it is true, but it's a great movie to see. It's part of American history. So another technical aspect of this car is quite interesting. It has a steel frame, and then it has a fiberglass underbody, and then the stainless steel panels are attached to that. So this model, through my research, I realized when I picked this up at a flea market, it's quite old here. It says 2001 Hot Wheels. But from my experience, Hot Wheels don't look this nice. And so it turns out this was sold in the Japan market, and it was called Bandai is a model company. They make Gundams, in particular, Gundam models, and they have the most advanced plastic molding machines, to my understanding. So Bandai probably made this model for Hot Wheels, and that's why it looks so nice, or nicer than a normal Hot Wheels. So let's look at the first one, actually, from the first movie, Back to the Future. Let's take a look at these details here. I watched a few video clips because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I do realize this model, although it's nicer than normal, it's missing a lot of details, in particular back here. This should be yellow, and there should be a lot of stuff here. A lot of extra junk here, and some extra manifolds and stuff like that. So, Bandai, I don't think they really did their research enough, or they just found it to be too difficult to have extra plastic here, showing extra widgets and greeblies, I guess you would call it in Star Wars. Okay, it's also weird that there's no license plate printed there. It should say like out of time. But the taillights look pretty good. Okay, so let's see if there are any exhaust tips. I don't see any exhaust tips, but I'm not sure if the real Back to the Future car had exhaust tips. But it does have these. I guess you can consider those exhaust tips. And there's some depth to the vents. You can see my probe going in them, so that's not so bad. Okay, looking around here, seems to be similar to the other side. So a lot of weird things attached here, but in particular, I like wheels on my diecast cars, and these are molded pretty nice. If the axles are a little bit smaller, this would actually be a fairly accurate representation of the movie car wheel, or a 1981 and a half wheel from a DeLorean. So maybe a little black paint would make that look nicer. Okay, so some interior details. It's just all black in there. Can't see too much, especially with the reflective windshield. The front end, I'm not sure if the movie car had the DMC logo, DeLorean Motor Corp logo there, but a road car would have it. So I'm not sure if they took it off for the movie or if the model itself isn't accurate. Okay, what's going on under here? Anything? Nah, it's just black, little rectangle shape, probably for the intake, for the radiator. Although I'm not sure if there would be a radiator here, because if it's rear-engined, not sure. But I did find in my research, I guess this is a fuel filler cap right here. And again, this is a stainless steel body. So it seems to be a little paint nick on my model here. And the paint isn't particularly super smooth, but there's no major paint rash from what I see here. Just wasn't particularly. These look like gouges from the original casting, but I don't see any really bubbling. It is definitely definitely a worn paint job, I guess. But I guess for something from 20 years ago, I'm okay with it. Okay, so the difference between that and the car from the second movie of Back to the Future 2 is the power plant, I guess, is a little bit different in this one. If I recall from the movies, this actually runs on like biofuel, so Doc Brown starts putting in like banana peels and other random things, and it's basically recycling power from random garbage to power up this car, so it can travel in time. Okay, so let's look at this one. Okay, so yeah, similar greeblies and stuff. The wheels seem to be the same mold. Okay, so the axle there. No license plate on this one either. The exhaust links look the same. There seems to be even less detail on the second one. I believe there should just be a whole bunch of plumbing and random stuff going on, junk around here. But Bandai didn't do a good job. And again, it's all blank here, where there should be a bunch of weird knickknacks and stuff like that. Okay, so this side here. Okay, nothing really wrong. This one seems to have a better paint. I guess it's a little rough there. Maybe it's starting to get some zinc rot or something, some bubbling or something, or could have been that way from the factory 20 years ago. Not sure. But I guess it's better than a lot of the TLVs and a lot of the Kyoshas I'm getting, which are 15 years old or so. So this is an older model, and it seems to have the paint seems to be holding up pretty well. Although there's a little gouge there in the casting before it was painted. Same there. Okay. Well, anyway, it's a little different from what I'm usually reviewing, but I did like those Back to the Future movies. The first and second one are really good. The third one was alright. It gets a little weird with the Western theme. But that's what I have here for you today. So you can take a look here. I'll let it spin around once. You might want to pause it, compare the two. Okay. Okay, I'll see you guys in the future.